Well, hello, traders and investors. I'm LA Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, and we're doing it from a neoclassical perspective, meaning we're looking at supply and demand on the charts and asking ourselves what was important, what was tested, what does it tell us, and how can we use that to make money in the future. I do a show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday, broadcast every 4, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube and under the channel LA Little. If you want to subscribe to the show, reach up in the right-hand corner, do so anytime I push content. You get a notification. As far as what happened today, actually it was a down day, but not a huge one. Some red on the screens here, nothing major. The only place you really got serious pullback was in the Russell, but by the end of the day, the buyers were coming back in, which is usual. The Russell here down 1%. It was down about 1.5 at the worst, but it's up 22% this year. So 1%, who cares? Elsewhere, gold, silver, these flipped around. Oil flipped around also. Oil was up about 4.5% before the market opened. Ended up about 2%, I believe, at the close. The OIL ETF was up 1.6. Other than that, you were down in Asia, down in Europe for the most part. Up in Japan last night. Looks like it's flat tonight. Gold and silver, we're going to talk about these. I think these are getting at least to the point where we ought to talk about them, and I'll parlay into that here in a bit. Let's look at the indexes. Okay, so let's go through these together. I didn't really do much work on these today. I was kind of busy, head down, working on the site. We got a lot of good things coming here on the site. An expansion of what we're doing, a whole underlying set of new data actually, as well as some other things. So first time I'm looking at this along with you. And what do we got here? We got more volume, right? And on that volume pickup, right, we've got actually an over-under as well after what looks like a fairly extended move. If we look at that angle of ascent, that's a pretty good angle of ascent again, just like we had back here. Not quite that bad, right? That's more like what we're seeing now. And as you see, that can go on for a while. So I don't know if this tells us anything. The fact that we had more volume tells me they can go up and do it again. Just because you get a doji, a lot of times doji can just be a halfway mark, doesn't mean it's going to turn. So I don't know I'd put that much into that signal. Let's see what the others look like, though. So if we look at the NASDAQ, let's see what this one has on it. And on the NASDAQ, a little less volume, you get a pullback, and you're coming into this swing point high. So on the NASDAQ, you actually got a test going on. And, where testing takes place, that's where we learn. That's where the market releases information. So this is good. This is going to give us information. So as it comes back in, you're doing, what are you doing? 19.2 into 17.8. So you're actually doing more volume. So that suggests that this can get in a little deeper. Now you also are coming into a bigger bar, though. Volume here, 221.2 versus 19.2. Top of that one's 53.97. You got into it 53.94. You flip around, that actually argues the other way. So you come into a swing point high, right, which is your retest, regenerate, high and low of that bar. But you're also coming into some high volume bars that led this big push, in particular this one. Why that one? Well, because that one's a wide price spread, and I'm eyeballing it here, but it looks like a wide price spread high volume bar. So that one has a lot of weight. You come into it, you don't have as much volume. This thing's going to try to flip around and go back up the other way. That's the way that one sets up. Let's see if the NDX, which is the big caps, let's see if it looks the same. The NDX, of course, has been weaker, hasn't been able to show us as much as the broad NASDAQ. And this one does the same thing, exactly the same thing. So the top here, 48.54, 48.54.27. Yep, you got into it. By 5 cents. You get into it, you flip it around, you do kind of like a little hammer pickaxe type reversal. This one wants to bounce back up the other way. Wow. So not what I thought, but again, I'm looking at these with you for the first time. So these both, to me, look like we're going to try to push higher tomorrow. Now the Russell's the one that came back, and there's really nothing here on the Russell to stop it from coming back any farther, other than the other indexes don't look like they want to. The Russell, the test is into this bar, 1366.61, hasn't got there yet. So we don't really get a test. If the Russell pulls back deeper, right, you could get a swing point high test as well. But right now, it looks to me like the Russell's not telling us much of anything. Indexes overseas, let's see if there's anything useful there. So let me pull those up. Let me see, where's my world markets? Here we go. Now, if you remember last week, we had big breakouts in Europe, big breakouts across multiple time frames. So here's the CACs, and the CACs, let's see if it tested that top 4780. It did. So the CACs does over under. You got an extended move, right? Angle of ascent in the amount of the push is fairly significant. This looks like it's going to try to come back a little bit deeper. Now, the thing that's interesting here is the bar that it's going to try to come into, the one with the volume on it, is just right beneath it, 47.48.51. So you could get a situation here tomorrow morning where this hits this and just flips right back around immediately, coming into this bar. And so I don't know that you're going to get a huge pullback here, nothing major. I think you're going to get something fairly minor probably on the initial first pullback. So even though that one has the over-under, I suspect you'll get a sideways to down bar tomorrow. But after that, this thing could actually pick up and just head back the other way. Now the DAX broke out after the CACs. Let's take a look at the DAX, see what that one looks like. And that one's just hanging. That one even didn't even come back. And see, now it's coming into this big bar and can't get into it. So it's the same situation, but can't get into it. Top of that is 1193. You close it just inside of it. So just inside. And let's look at Shanghai now, because Shanghai actually instituted some new rules, and I think their market got whacked last night, and it had actually been pulling back already. Yeah, they got whacked good. So tonight's going to be a good test here. And the reason for it is, look at what you have. Your last swing point high was here, right? Now you have the one at the top. All this move up, this long, steady incline on the way up, right? Never a big setback. Then you got a little gap down, right? Test in. You push back up. You close into the gap area. And then boom, right? They hit this thing. Now, what they're doing is they're coming back into two things. One is you're looking for your anchor bars anytime you're looking at this. Well, these are your high volume anchor bars, which are these two. And if you take the low of that one, that's 31.48. You got into it almost, 31.49, which just happens to be just above the swing point high. And so it looks to me like what you're going to see tomorrow or tonight is you're going to see this thing try to break into this, probably going to hold and give you some sort of a bounce. The bad thing is that this is an ABCD structure down, but the good thing about that is this is probably going to finish it tonight. So I would think that this is not going to go very much farther either. So overseas doesn't look too bad either. So U.S. markets look like they want to bounce. Overseas markets don't look like they're going to put a damper on that. And all in all, I guess that's good. Now, I want to hit energy right quick, because on the energy market, we had the big move in oil off the OPEC meeting. Oil was up, 4 or 5%. You had these indexes, the ETFs. This is the XLE. You had them up anywhere from 2.5% to 5%. XLE, as you can see here, pretty much gave it up. Even though it stayed positive, you get a big dark bar. I don't ever like dark bars like that. So that piece of it, to me, is bad. But what really got hit was not the big cap, integrated oils, but the ones that could not hold at all, which I think are the ones that are most telling here tonight, was the oil services stocks And the drillers, things like XOP, OIH, things like that, they spike up. They were up 5%. They give it all up. They close negative. These have exhausted themselves on the way up. They're going to have to do more work before they can continue. Will they continue? Probably so. But you got more work to do. The bar you want to look at is this bar here, 4201, as it comes back into it, either the top or the bottom. That's a wide price spread, high volume bar. And I suspect that's where the buyers are going to show back up. Let's move over to gold. I want to hit that before I cut it off tonight. I saw one of the miners, what was it, SWC, got a bid from another one of the miners. Let me see if I can pull these up right quick. So let's pull up SWC and look at that one, and it was Seagold, I believe. So SBGL, I think. Let me see if I can find that one for you as well. So SWC got this bid, and the reason I'm bringing this up is as the market continues, and they got their bid last Friday, as the market continues to depress, right, to compress in terms of the gold market, you're going to see more and more of these takeover attempts, right? And in this case, it's a little bit different than the normal one I would expect, because Stillwater itself was not trading at lows. If you pull the monthly over on Stillwater, it is actually in pretty good shape already compared to most of these gold stocks of late. The thing that was interesting or made me think about it, and the reason I wanted to bring it up, is that you're seeing some takeover, right, activity take place in this sector. And so I believe that, you know, Seagold came in, offered like an 18% premium or so, and you know, Stillwater jumped nice pop as a result of it. Looking here to see what kind of Sibiane, I guess I can't even pronounce it. It wasn't Seagold, it was Sibiane. What is that? 7. They took a 15% hit by doing that. So this is not the classic one where you get a bump off both sides, but it just made me think about, you know, as prices compress, as gold comes down in price, that does tend to put some of these things in play. Let's take a quick look at the actual precious metals. If you remember, precious metals peaked about May, June, I think, and then they've been coming down ever since, and they really got to tumbling whenever Trump got elected. Here's the Trump tumble, if you will. Coming back up, I'm looking at silver to start with. You're coming back up here. You're testing into a swing point low, and that's a retest regen here. That regenerates lower, and it pops right back up today, though. But still, I don't think this can get much higher yet. Going back to the peak of this is on silver. Silver peaked, it looks like, way back over here. That was September. If I look on my monthly chart, yeah, it was about July, August. Looking at gold inside bar today, really nothing yet. On a weekly, you're underneath your big bar, which is not good. On the monthly, you're underneath the big support bars. Gold's going to be another buy here at some point. It looks to me like you have two places, and actually the charts show it to you well. The top of the zone is you're almost traded into it already. The bottom is this big wide price spread high volume bar. The number on that guy is a 107.35. The number on this other one is 109.67. We traded to 110. So we're getting close to what may be a place where one could look at this again. I've pretty much left it alone, waiting on it. Just, you know, when things aren't working, you just stay away from them. And, you know, everything eventually falls out of favor, and everything eventually comes into favor, and you just have to be patient, monitor, and wait until it's time, and it's not quite time yet. As far as the markets, we got the Fed Reserve doing their thing this week. You got Bank of Japan, I believe, next Monday, and you got quadruple witching this Friday. I think those are the big three known events. As far as the Fed, you got to think that it's already priced in the hike. The question is going to be, is the Fed going to tell us they're going to keep hiking? It's kind of hard to imagine that, but then again, maybe the Fed's seeing this market run like it is. Maybe they're going to want to cool it off. I don't know. Tomorrow, it doesn't look like it matters. Tomorrow, this market's going to try to, ease up, press back up, and hang right up underneath the highs, probably. So I wouldn't be surprised to see tomorrow that we go back up and we're hanging right up in here somewhere, waiting on the Fed. And then we'll see what the Fed wants to do. Again, it's already priced in that they're going to hike. What's not priced in is talk that they are going to continue to hike. Whether we get that talk or not, I don't know, and the charts aren't telling us right now. We may get a signal tomorrow that will tell us something. As of tonight, we don't have it. That's it. Have a great one. Take care. Good night.